recording will be shared with anybody who's not able to attend. So we'll be able to share that with other colleagues of yours maybe who might be interested to listen in. So as Sona said, please feel free to introduce yourselves in the chat, your name, your position, and where you're listening in from, so we can get to know each other. And if you have any technical questions about the presentation, then please feel free to put them in the Q&A box, and that's next to the globe icon at the bottom of your screens, depending on how you're viewing this Zoom meeting. And we'll take the time to answer those technical questions in the Q&A box during our session today. And if you have any sort of more general questions or comments about if you're not able to hear properly, or if the slides, you can't view the slides, or any sort of technical glitches that might be coming up, please feel free to put them in the chat. Yeah, so maybe just moving on to our next slide, just also wanted to take the opportunity to acknowledge our donors for their generous support in allowing these workshops to happen: BHAID, USAID, Irish Aid, UNICEF, and Global Affairs Canada. So with that introduction, I'm very pleased to be with you today, and I will hand over to Sona for the rest of the session. I'm going to be providing backup to today's session, and Sona is our main presenter. So thank you so much. Great to be with you today, and over to you, Sona.
Thank you, Angeline. So, and thank you for being here, for the support that you're providing as well. Hello, everyone, and good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you're joining from. And as Angeline mentioned, we are really delighted that there has been a lot of interest. But I think there have been some issues, probably because we had got about 30 confirmations for this workshop today as well. So hopefully they will join in as the time passes. So this workshop is the very first of the series, and the way it is being planned is that it is going to just cover, it's going to cover the basics of social and behavior change. So we will try and understand social and behavior change and what are the social and SBC determinants. We will go through very briefly, not in too much detail, on the theories of behavior change. We will do a couple of exercises. So this workshop, as well as the workshops that follow, are going to be extremely interactive. So this is not a training, it's not a capacity strengthening, it's a capacity sharing workshop. And we will request you to switch on your videos from time to time if it is convenient to you and if the bandwidth allows it. I think other than the Q&A and the chat, you have control over the mic as well. So if you want to unmute yourself and speak, please feel free to do so. So, and a large part of today's workshop is going to be about on trying to address common challenges for changing nutrition behaviors. And that is going to be based on experiences of all of you from the field, as well as some of the challenges that you had mentioned while filling in the form.
Maybe can I just jump in to say that I asked people
Yes.
to put into the Q&A, and I realize we don't have a Q&A because we've converted the webinar setting to a meeting. So apologies, everyone, for my misinformation. If you have any questions, just post them directly in the chats and we will address them. Thank you.
I'll raise your hand, and because this is an interactive workshop, so you can raise your hand and unmute yourself and speak as well. This is not going to be only in the chat. So getting to know each other, I think all of us, we had requested everyone to post introduce themselves in the chat, but if we can quickly have, try and put faces to the names. If everyone if I can request everyone to, I will stop sharing here right now, to turn on your videos and to quickly say your name. What would you like to be called during this workshop? So a quick request to everyone to turn on your videos if it is feasible. and we can do a quick round of just the names that you could be your first name. You could prefer calling yourself doctor or any other name that you prefer that everyone calls you. Let me begin with myself. I'm Sona Sharma, and you can call me Sona. Angeline has already introduced herself. Can we go to maybe Salman?
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, this is Tasmia from Bangladesh. You can call me Tasmia. Thank you.
Tasmia. Okay, wonderful. Who would like to go next? Just come on.
Good morning, everyone.
Yes.
My name is Honest Matlatini, and I am connecting from Zimbabwe. You can call me Honest.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
Dr. Rahman Zai.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Rahman Zai, working for AYSO in Afghanistan as Health and Nutrition Coordinator. You can call me Dr. Rahman Zai.
Dr. Rahman Zai. Wonderful. Ubaid Rahman.
Hello, this is Ubaid Rahman from Seldo. You can call me Ubaid. Thank you.
Ubaid, wonderful. Who would like to go next? Yes,
yes,
go ahead.
good morning. Good morning. I'm Matimbi Raishonis. I'm connecting from Zimbabwe. You can call me Ishe.
Ishe, that's easier. I was finding it difficult to try and pronounce your name. I was scared that I will mispronounce it. So Ishe is great. Who would like to go next? Go ahead. Zarjan?
Yes, thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Dr. Zarjan Zahid, Health and Nutrition Program Manager, working with CHA. You can call me Dr. Zahid. Thank you.
Dr. Zahid, wonderful. JDPCM, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I will go. Good morning, everyone. My name is Linda Samson from Nigeria. I work with Justice Development and Peace Commission, my degree as nutrition officer. Thank you.
And we can call you?
You can call me Linda.
Linda, wonderful. Okay, we have Dr. Sami Zarma.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. This is Dr. Sami Zarman from Relief Humanitarian Development Organization as a project manager.
And do we call you Dr. Sami?
Yeah, you
Sami.
can call me Sami.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. We have Rohina Amel.
Hello, everyone. This is Rohina Amel. R&D officer from ESDS Afghanistan. You can call me Rohina.
Rohina, wonderful. Great. Then we have Salman Nishat.
Thank you so much. This is Salman Nishat, project manager for school feeding program, EDW. So you can call me Salman.
Wonderful, Salman. Thank you. Are we missing anyone?
Excuse me, Ms.
Yes.
Sona, I've got one of my other colleagues here. Because of internet problem, we are using the same PC. He would like to introduce himself as well.
Sure, go ahead, please.
Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Muhammad Rangin Ahmadzai, South Region CBNI coordinator for AYSO.
Wonderful, welcome. Okay, I think we are, if anyone hasn't introduced themselves, please do so now. And let me start sharing again. Okay. So as usual, we will start with the expectations from the workshop, and let's spend a very quick 5 minutes doing this. In the Google link that Angeline will share with us in the chat, there are two blocks. There are four columns actually. Two for expectations and two for what is it that you can share or would like to share with the team, with the group here. So Angeline, can I request you to paste the link in the chat? I think you have.
Posted, yep.
Yes, thank you so much. Let me know if anyone has trouble in accessing the link. But if you can quickly go to the link and write 2 short statements, your expectation, one would be your expectation from this workshop, and the second would be what would you like to share from your experience? And that what you would like to share from your experience could just be from written in a phrase. You don't need to write long sentences. Just write it as a phrase, you know, maybe some challenges from the field or some solutions that you've come up with for social and behavior change. So just those a couple of words and phrases on what you would like to share from your experience. Is everyone able to access the Google Doc?
I have access, but when
Yes,
we
we
trying
have
to write
access.
something, I think there is a trouble.
Oh, you're not able to write? Okay, so
I'm
let's
able
do one thing.
in case
Yeah.
some trouble there.
Are you able to type something on it or not? Because I have given edit access. If you're not able to do that, then please write your expectation in the chat box itself. Yes.
Please write it in the chat box and I can copy it over. It's no problem.
Yeah. If you find that easier, please write your expectation in the chat box. Anything you would like to share from your experience, write that down as well, and we can put it in the Google Doc later. There's a request to resend the link, Angeline. I'm going to stop sharing this, and I would like to go to the document.
Excuse me, ma'am, when we are writing something here, is it visible to you or we need to share it back to you online there? There's an option of share.
No. So just write it on that. I'm going to share the screen right now with that with the document, so you'll be able to see it. Okay, I see people have started typing in quite a bit. We can reduce the
Is
font size.
the first comments are mine, I think.
Okay. Oops. Okay, someone who had written in-depth knowledge of SBC. Could you please write that again? It seems to have disappeared. Sorry, I was trying to reduce the font. Okay. Okay, so we want a certificate of the workshop. That's not something that we had thought of, but let's consider it and get back to you on that. How to design SBC, incorporating with program, steps of SBCC in detail, to know more about how SBC can be used to tackle the most difficult nutrition challenges, gaining a deeper understanding of the factors that influence behavior within a community or population, in-depth knowledge about SBC, sharing workshop materials, maybe presentations and videos. We will certainly do that. Learning steps involved in planning SBC campaign. Okay. Understand the key concepts. We do have people who would like to share field experience in SBC sessions that you applied to the field. That would be great. Field level challenges to change behavior is something that we would love to hear from as well. M&E for SBC performance. Okay. So I think what from these expectations, most of them we are hoping to cover through the series of 4 workshops. Some will be covered more in detail in the following workshops. What we have in the workshop in today's workshop is an overview of SBC and just getting you acquainted with the different terms in SBC and just the initial challenges and how do we overcome those. Okay, I'm going to go back to the presentation. Right, so thank you for sharing those, and we look forward to hearing from your experiences as well. From our side, the objectives that we had thought about for this workshop was to have an enhanced understanding of social norms, behavior change, and their determinants, to have enhanced skills for enabling behavior change, and to build a broad understanding of what needs to be done differently in existing programs so that we can enable behavior change. Ground rules. I'm going to escape here and start typing the ground rules here. If you can unmute yourself and speak about ground rules that we should have, and these would be ground rules for the entire series of workshops. What is it from my side? I would request you all to participate actively throughout the workshop. So I put that down as a ground rule, but other ground rules that you would like to include?
Having mutual respect and mutual speaking time.
Okay. Right. Any other?
Be on time.
Okay. Thank you. Any other?
Mute loudspeaker when we are not talking.
Okay, mute when not speaking.
Yeah.
Okay, any other?
Active participation.
Okay, I don't mind writing it again. I'll put this in bold because any workshop is only as good as the participation there is from the participants, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Relevant
Any other?
discussion.
Sorry?
Relevant discussion.
Relevant discussion. Okay. Any other?
Sharing our experience.
Absolutely. Right. We have to remember we are learning from each other, and this is not a one-way traffic.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Also two-way communication as well. Yeah.
Okay. You are a two-way communication, and I will talk to you about this a little later. And I will, who had said that? Sorry, I didn't see who said that. I'm going to request you to build a little more on the two-way communication. Okay, I think that is a good set of rules that we have. Now let's get down to social and behavior change. And I think in the beginning of each workshop, we're going to go through these rules and see if we want to add some more, or whether we've been flouting any of the rules. So there are these terms of social norm, there's attitude and belief, and there's behaviors, right? So what is a social norm, what is a behavior, and what is an attitude or belief? So I'm going to read out some statements, and I will request you to either write in the chat or unmute yourself and speak and tell us whether you think it is a social norm, whether it is an attitude or belief, or is it a behavior? If I can click it properly. Okay. So the first statement is, men in my community don't go into the kitchen to help in cooking. Is that a social norm? Is that an attitude or a belief, or is it a behavior?
I think it should come under belief.
It's a behavior? Okay. Does anyone else think otherwise?
Social norm.
Social norm, you said? Okay. Right. Any other thoughts?
I
Okay.
think it's social norm.
Hello?
Right, that's right. It is a social norm. And why is it a social norm? Any thoughts on that?
I think it's an attitude.
You think it's an attitude? Okay. Sorry? Okay. So men in my community don't go into the kitchen to help in cooking is something that we believe that people in our community do or don't do, right? So that is a social norm, and we'll get into a little more detail of the definition of a social norm. I think women should not be allowed to work outside the house. Is this a social norm or an attitude or a belief? You can put it in the chat as well.
Once again, I would say it's belief.
It's a belief. Okay. Any other thoughts? Okay, let's go into the next statement. Belief. Okay. Washing hands at all critical times will protect me from diseases and keep me healthy. Is that a social norm, attitude, or belief or behavior?
This should, I think it's
Attitude.
behavior.
Behavior. Okay. Right.
The
Let's see.
behavior.
I'm not giving the answers right now. We'll come back to it a little later. All families follow the tradition of throwing away the first milk, colostrum,
Attitude.
before breastfeeding, as it is considered stale milk.
Once again, it's belief.
It's belief. Okay.
It's just belief.
Attitude.
Okay. I feed my child only breast milk and nothing else, not even water. Is that a belief?
Behavior.
Yeah,
Or
it is
This is behavior.
Okay.
I
Infant
would say
formula could
behavior.
make my child sick.
belief.
That's a belief. Okay. Most mothers in my community feed their child infant formula. Is that a belief, attitude, or behavior?
This is belief.
Okay. Okay, so here are all the statements once again. Men in my community don't go into the kitchen to help in cooking is a social norm, as I had mentioned, because it's talking about what other people do. It's not talking about myself or an individual's attitude, belief, or behavior. I think women should not be allowed to work outside the house is an attitude, because it's what I think. Washing hands at all critical times will protect me from diseases and keep me healthy is again something that I think and I believe. So that is a belief. All families follow the tradition of throwing away the first milk before breastfeeding, as it is considered stale milk. That is a social norm because it's something that we think everyone in the community does. It's not something that we do ourselves. I feed my child only breast milk and nothing else, not even water. That is a behavior because that's something that I am doing. Infant formula could make my child sick is again an attitude and belief, and many of you got that right as well. Most mothers in my community feed their child infant formula. Again, this is something that I'm thinking that the community people do, or people in the community do, mothers in the community do, and it's not something that I'm doing myself or I'm thinking myself, so it is a social norm. Just to go a little more into detail of what is a behavior is what I do. An attitude or belief is what I prefer, what I believe, what I know. Social norm is what I think others do, or what I think others will approve or disapprove of me doing. So when we are talking about what others do or what others think about what I do, all those are social norms. Behavior is related to what I or an individual is doing, and that's influenced by the attitude and belief that the behavior that the person has. There are many definitions around social norms and behaviors and what is social and behavior change. I've picked out some which I thought were relevant for the programs that we work in. Social norms are informal rules that govern behavior in groups and societies. So these are not rules that are written down. These are informal rules that govern the behavior, because we believe that most people are doing this, so we should be also doing this. Or we believe that most people expect me to do this, so I should be doing this. So those are the social norms. Behaviors is a person's pattern of actions in relation to their environment, which produces measurable results, which are either, the results could be either positive or negative. But it's the person's observable pattern of action. So social and behavior change is a systematic, evidence-driven approach to programming that leads to improved and sustainable positive changes in social norms and behaviors. And I saw that a lot of you got that right in the poll as well. So well done, and I think we have a lot more to learn from each other. Oops. Okay. We will now go into a different kind of exercise, delving a little deeper into social and behavior change. So this is an exercise about exercises. There are 3 statements here, and I would request you to read these. I'll read these statements out, but think about the statement that is true for you as an individual, right? For you yourself, what is, which of these 3 statements is true for you, or that you associate with strongly? So I know that getting exercise is very important. I have read multiple studies that prove it. I have also heard many advertisements promoting good health through exercise. If that reflects your situation, that you have knowledge about exercising and you know how important it is, then you write 1.1 in the chat. The second is 2.1, which is, I have only heard that exercising can reduce your chance of heart disease. So you don't have too much information. You have some information about exercising and the benefits that it has. 3.1 is that I know many people are in shape because they exercise, but I'm not sure how they do it. So 3.1 is the least knowledge that you would have about the benefits of exercising. I request you all to put your, in the chat, start putting, okay, I see you've started doing this, 1.1, 1.1. So whoever agrees with 2.1 will write 2.1, or feel that that's the level that they are at, they write 2.1, the rest can write, I mean, if you feel that don't know anything about exercising, you can write 3.1. Okay. I'm presuming everyone has written and in the chat. Let's move to the next slide. These are a second set of exercises which are around what you believe in. The first statement is, I believe that getting exercise is very important. I'm hearing an echo. Okay. So the first statement is, I believe that getting exercise is very important. I think that everyone should exercise regularly, at least 4 times a week. I believe exercise is somewhat important. Most people should exercise 1 to 2 times per week. Or I think that we get enough exercise with the routine activities of the day, so we don't really need to exercise. So what do you agree with and what do you believe in is what you need to write in the chat. If you believe 1.2, 2.2, or 3.2. We have 2 people with 1.2. If you agree with 1.2, please write that it's very important to exercise. If you believe that exercise is somewhat important, write 2.2. And if you think that we get enough exercise anyways, you can write 3.2. Okay, we have 1.2. Right. So those are the attitude statements. Now let's go to the third set of statements. This is about what you actually do. And this is where I would like you to be completely honest. Last week, I exercised at least 4 times for at least 30 minutes at a time. Or 2.3 is I exercised twice last week. And 3.3 is I did not do any exercise. So what applies to you? Please write down the number in the chat. 1.3, 2.3, or 3.3. Okay, I like this honesty. Okay, so what happened here in the 3 statements? The first was a statement of knowledge, where we knew what we knew the importance of exercising. The second was a statement of attitude, where we believed that whether exercising is important or not. And the third was a statement of action, of behavior. So, and the third, what did we see in the differences and responses? Would anyone like to comment on that?
Yeah, this is Tasmia.
Yes, Tasmia.
So actually, here is showing that we have enough knowledge about exercise, that how it's impact to our health and good for our health. And we have that attitude to do this along with knowledge, but in whenever in for action or for practice level, that we are not practicing. And that though there will be many reasons, but that is very important to know, but we are not doing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. And I think that sums it up well. If anyone would like to add anything?
I would just say that our behavior is not yet changed.
Yes, absolutely. Our knowledge levels have changed, our attitude has changed, but our behavior has not yet changed, right? And is that something that we see in our fieldwork as well? At the end of
No, it's kind of change in the field sites.
It's changing, the behavior is changing?
Yes, because
yes.
because we feel responsible and accountability to our tasks and our TOR or our job description, basically our employment status. So we do what we have, but for ourselves, as part of our health insurance, we don't do it.
Right. No. So absolutely. So I didn't mean that we don't do our work in the field, but what we see in the field after doing a project for say about a year, about 2 years, the knowledge levels in the community increase. Let's see, if we're working on a nutrition project, we see that the mothers have a lot of knowledge about the importance of exclusive breastfeeding, but the behavior is not yet changed. And our CAP studies also show that in the, compared to the baseline and the end line, that the knowledge levels increase, but the behavior does not change of the community. Have we seen that in the field?
Exactly, we did see.
Yeah, okay. So I think what we learned from this this exercise is and the reason we apply it to ourselves as well, because the people we are working with are not very different from ourselves, right? We are, everything that applies to them applies to us as well. And when we don't change our behavior after having knowledge and attitude, having changed our attitude, we still don't change our behaviors. How do we? But there are reasons for that, and it's not as if we are at fault as well. There would be several different reasons for not changing the behavior too. And let's look at some of those reasons now. So the crux of this exercise was that knowledge alone does not change behavior. And a lot of times, a lot of the programs are designed for generating awareness. The SBC component is basically about generating awareness, about giving information to people, about increasing knowledge. But we do need to realize that knowledge alone does not change behavior, and that we need to go a little deeper into if we are looking at behavior change. So we need to be able to ask people about their experiences, about the challenges, and what will help them practice, and how do we overcome the barriers to be able to understand then how to promote the behaviors. So, I mean, this was just a little exercise to drive home the message that knowledge alone does not change behavior, and we need to go beyond knowledge if we are thinking about behavior change. Now, once again, let's understand behavior change a little more. Let's think about any behavior that you have changed recently. Think about it for a minute. Any behavior that you may have recently changed, and it could be something as simple as, I'll stop eating junk food, or I will start exercising or start going for walks every day, or that I will stop smoking. So think about any behavior that you may have changed and something that you are happy to share with the people here, with the group here. But also think about what or who inspired you or motivated you to change. Were there any initial barriers, and what were those barriers, and how were those barriers overcome? So let me stop sharing here, give you half a minute to think, and then if anyone would like to share their experience.
Can I share something, Ms. Sona?
Sure, Dr. Rahman. Go ahead.
Since I'm an MBA student as well.
Yes.
Since I'm an MBA student as well, I recently understand the difference between a leader and a manager, and I'm leading almost 3 projects under my direct supervision. So by tending to know that what characteristic a leader should have and what characteristic a manager contains, I changed my my self-belief and my thoughts and my character to become a leader, to inspire others and support them, instead of being their manager and just extract what my job wants. So basically, my lecturer from India, his name is Adil Rasool. He motivated me and he inspired me to become a leader. I'm trying to become a leader, but yet I'm not a leader.
Okay. And what was it that inspired you? What was it that he said or convinced you about that inspired you to change?
Basically, the exact definition of the leader, what he said, let me share it here. A leader is a person who influences others with his attitude and his behavior. And while I thought that no one will buy you unless they like you. So if you are a leader and you're in a supportive role to your subordinates, they will definitely like you. And if you are influencing them, they will strive to see you again and again, each and every day or each and every week. So that's the thing that I tried to change in myself and become a leader for them.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for sharing that, Dr. Ananzai. Anyone else would like to share their any behavior that they have changed recently? Would anyone else have any? It may not be recently also. It could just be something as simple as, I decided to stop getting angry, which is not simple actually, but, I started to try to be more patient with people. Rohina, would you like to share something? See, somebody has put something in the chat as well, one of our colleagues. Yeah, everyone says struggling to hear you, Rohina. So please put it in the chat. Sorry, I think there's some problem with the connection. Janada has shared, I started to be open to accept other people's decisions. I always thought my way of doing things is the only way I can see positive results. And Janada, I would like you to also put in what is it that made you change to start thinking, looking at other people's way of doing things as well. Rohina has said, I used to enjoy gaming in my free time, but now I'm prioritizing work and productivity. Okay. And the reason for doing that? Could you add the reason for doing that as well? Nishat, Salman Nishat, I thought you had your hand raised. Do you want to share something?
Thank you so much. Yeah, of course, what you earlier said about getting
Okay.
That was actually my fault, and I used to getting angry at home when I came back to work environment. Therefore, I used to change the behavior because after studying many books, so I'm studying books more and more.
Okay.
So it was fortunately happened to change my behavior, and I am now very flexible.
Wonderful. Great. And I think, thank you for sharing that as well, Nishat. Janada has also said, after being open to suggestions, we've achieved more with diverse ideas. So that was the positive that you realized. Tasmia says, I increased my listening time from people that helped me make a decision as well. So those were the positives, the reasons, the motivations for you to change behavior. So let's go back to.
I would like to share my.
Yes, go ahead, please. Go ahead.
As currently I am working as a development manager in a local national organization. Last week I had a written test with the international organization. When I saw the role in regulation in the knowledge of them, I decided to work and to start struggle in working in a good position in international NGO to improve my skill, my knowledge, and attitude.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for sharing that, Sami, Dr. Sami. Okay, thank you all for sharing your experiences. And I think the reason we start with ourselves is because there is the age-old saying, right? Change begins from within. So let's look at what influences behavior change. And that's the reason I requested you to also think about what is it that motivated you to change? Who motivated you to change? And what is it that they said that motivated you to change? So a lot of theories around behavior change, and this is more like a summary of a number of different theories of behavior change. I'm not going into the details of each theory, but to summarize it, people change their behavior when they feel personally threatened by the consequences, by what happens if they continue their current behavior. So if they might feel that if I continue smoking, I'm going to be very sick, or if the doctor threatens that there's a health risk, then we might change our behavior. When they believe that the benefits are more than the perceived costs or barriers. So the benefits that we think about or the benefits of doing the behavior are much more than what the barriers or the costs would be. So for instance, if the positive consequence of changing your behavior, being more supportive to your subordinates, is easier to do, and there are less barriers, and the benefits are much more, then that's what motivates you to change as well. When they feel there is social pressure to perform the behavior, so if we feel that everybody in my group is doing that, I feel pressure to perform the behavior as well. And when they believe they have the skills and ability to change behavior. So this is an important aspect that's called self-efficacy. And if you believe that you have the skill and ability to change the behavior, you are more likely to change behavior than if you don't feel that you will be able to do anything about it. If the environment enables or not, some circumstances are not in our control, and therefore those circumstances may influence our practices. So if we are saying that a pregnant woman should go for antenatal checkups, but if there's no health center or if the doctor does not come, that's not something that she's able to control, and hence the environment is not enabling her behavior change. And if you think about it from the nutrition program perspective as well, if a mother believes that feeding the child appropriate quantity of food as the child grows has much more benefits than the costs of it. The costs would, in this case, be the effort involved to feed the child, or maybe taking time out to spend time with the child to make sure that the child is eating well. Those would be the costs involved, which are much, which if she perceives those are less than the benefits of her child being healthy, then she's more likely to perform that behavior. The self-efficacy bit is one has seen a lot in exclusive breastfeeding. And I'm sure all of you have faced this as well, that I mean, a lot of mothers are unsure about whether there is enough milk for the child, whether the child is going hungry, whether I will be able to breastfeed the child to fill his stomach or her stomach well enough. So those that affects whether or not the mother exclusively breastfeeds the child as well. And on the left side, we see these concentric circles. Is anyone familiar with this? The image on the left?
Give us a little bit time. Let us read it.
Okay, sure. Talks about the individual level. There's a family and peer networks. There's a community level, and there's a social and structural level. So let me quickly talk about it, and we'll go into a little more detail later. This is the socio-ecological model for behavior change, and it looks at the different determinants and the different aspects that we need to consider while working on behavior change. So for behavior change, it's not enough to just work at the individual level. Because at the individual level, while there are knowledge, skills, self-efficacy, our perceived norms and our perceived risk that we have for not doing the behavior, there are emotions involved at the individual level, and all those influence our behavior. But it is also the family and peer networks that influence the behavior. So if a mother believes that it is good to breastfeed her child on demand, but if the grandmother feels that, or the mother-in-law feels that she's spending too much time breastfeeding and she should be doing other work, that will influence whether or not she will be able to breastfeed the child on demand or not. Right? So it's the family and peer networks that also influence behaviors, individual behaviors. It is the community level also that influences behaviors, and it is the social and structural aspects also that influence behaviors. And we will go into some of these determinants for behavior change, or what influences behavior change, in a bit. Would anyone like to add anything? Have you seen this concentric circles, the socio-ecological model, before? Okay. So let's move on. So there are four determinants or factors that influence behavior change that are most common across different contexts and across different programs as well, and across different sectors as well, but especially for health and nutrition. And these four most common determinants are social norms, positive consequences, negative consequences, and self-efficacy. As I mentioned, self-efficacy is the belief on whether or the confidence in oneself to be able to perform a particular behavior. Social norms, we saw what the social norms are, what we think other people do or say, or what we think other people expect us to do. Those are social norms that influence our behaviors. If we are aware of the positive consequences of a particular behavior, then that is something that will influence our behavior. If we are aware and we believe in the positive consequences, that influences our behavior. If we are aware of the negative consequences of not performing a particular behavior, that will also influence our behavior. And then there are these other factors and determinants as well, which influence behavior change. And in different contexts, there are different determinants which are more stronger influencers on behavior change than the others. So, and which is why we always, try and do a formative research, try and understand which are the determinants that are the most prominent, influence the behaviors that we're trying to change the most. Access is physical access to, whether you have access to services, access to products, to be able to change the behavior. Cues for action is something that reminds you of the action that you need to be doing. Perceived severity is how severe is it if you don't do the action. So if you're not preventing, if you're not using or trying to prevent malaria, what will happen? If we're not trying to prevent COVID, what will happen? So the perceived severity is something that will influence the behavior. The perceived risk is something that we believe that we are at risk or not. That influences the behavior. Action efficacy is when we believe that the action that we do will result in a positive consequence. So the belief in the action itself is the action efficacy. Culture is much more broader and wider than social norms, and the culture of the entire cultural environment also affects and influences behaviors. The policy also invents the government policy that there is would influence behavior change. And divine will is something that a lot of people believe in. We have religions and like I mentioned, that there was one of the statements that it will. Oh, that's a statement that's going to come a little later. But divine will is also something that a lot of people believe in, and that influences behavior change. So if they think that it is God's will that this should happen, or that I should behave in a particular way, then that will influence their behaviors as well. Now let's go into examples of some of these.
Yes.
Yes, Dr. Sami.
Yeah. You mentioned that now you will give the example. My question was that if you give a real example.
Sure. Yes. Okay. Thank you. So let's look at these situations which had come from some formative research or the other, and from different contexts. In one village, mothers believe that it is witches and wizards that cause underweight in children. So what do we think is the influence here? Which of these determinants are influencing? The mothers believe that it is witches and wizards that cause underweight in children. The list of the determinants are down here. Which determinant do you think is prominent in this belief of the mothers?
I think the positive consequences.
Positive consequences, how would that be? It is the witches and wizards that cause underweight in children.
Let me rethink it. I'll come back.
Yes, sure. Would it be cues for action? Would it be action efficacy? Would it be divine will? Okay, so here it is the divine will that is a determinant, because we are thinking about that it is not, it's beyond our control. And it is, you know, the witches and wizards who are deciding whether the child will be malnourished or not, or will be healthy or not. So it is divine will that is influencing the behaviors. Let's look at the second example. A few men are taking tea together. Ali seems very relaxed, and his friend asks him what the secret is. He explains that he is very happy as he feels a close bond with his 8-month-old daughter ever since he has taken on the responsibility of feeding her and taking care of her, when his wife is busy. What do we think is the factor here?
Self-efficacy.
Self-efficacy, absolutely. Okay, any other? So it can be one or more determinants as well.
I think it will be positive consequence.
Absolutely, positive consequences as well. So it's self-efficacy, it is positive consequence that is influencing the behavior of Ali. The third example. Few young men are about to share a plate of food, and Hassan asks for water and soap to wash his hands. The others laugh at him saying, "Oh, are you so delicate? Nothing will happen. Men are strong." What do you think is the determinant here?
Negative consequence.
Negative consequences, okay. Any other?
Maybe, I don't know, but I think cause for action is as well.
Yeah, it will be cause for action.
Okay, cues for action is something that reminds you to do something. Those are the cues for action. I'm sorry if I wasn't clear enough. I mean, supposing you see a poster, or you see, you know, a hand washing image near the hand washing station. That is a cue for action, that you have to wash your hand, and you have to wash your hand with soap. If there's a soap there as well, that's a cue for action, that you should wash your hand with soap. So those are the cues for action. But in this case, positive. So what negative consequences is something that you mentioned. What about norms? What about gender norm? Nothing will happen to men. They are strong.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is social norm.
Social norm, which includes gender norms.
Yeah.
So if we are thinking that, you know, men are strong, nothing will happen to men, and that will influence whether or not they will wash their hands. Negative consequences could also be that, you know, people will laugh at me if I'm trying to wash my hands. They'll think I'm weak. So those are the negative consequences. Let's look at the fourth one. Farah has been visited by the nutrition worker who has informed her about what and how much to feed her 9-month-old baby, but she's not sure what to do and how to do it. She thinks it is difficult.
It is
What is the determinant? Self-efficacy, absolutely. So self-efficacy here is a key determinant. Is that clearer, or would you want more examples of the different determinants?
Possibly,
Just a little bit.
You can flight some more examples.
Okay, any particular determinant that you are not clear about?
Can you please come again on perceived risk and perceived severity?
Okay, sure. So perceived risk is whether I perceive the risk for myself or my child or not. So if I think that I'm not going to be affected if I don't go for an ANC checkup when pregnant, or it will not affect my child if I don't go for a ANC checkup, then that is a perceived risk. I'm not perceiving the risk for myself. But if I believe that I might have a difficult pregnancy if I don't go for an antenatal checkup, then that's a perceived risk for myself, and that will influence whether I go for an antenatal checkup or not. Whereas perceived severity is knowing how many people in the area. So if there are, if I know that about 80% of the children in our community are getting diarrhea or are getting cholera, then that is a severity that affects me as well, because I know that then my child can get it as well, or my family is also at risk. So that's the perceived severity of the issue or of the problem, and that would affect whether or not I will change my behavior. Is that clearer?
Yes, thanks a lot.
Okay, wonderful. Any other determinant that you think is not clear enough right now that I can give examples for?
Yes. These negative consequences and positive consequences, I would like it if you throw more light on them. Thank you.
Okay, sure. So if I'm aware that what example should I give? Let's talk about the MUAC tape and measuring my child's MUAC regularly so that the child doesn't get malnourished. If I'm aware and I believe the positive consequences of measuring MUAC every time or regularly, so and if I believe that I can prevent malnutrition for my child by measuring the MUAC regularly, I will be more likely to stick to measuring my child's MUAC every month or every 15 days, or as per the recommended frequency. That's the positive consequence. So if I am aware of the positive consequence and I believe in it, then I'm more likely to, that influences my behavior. The negative consequences is if I don't do a particular behavior, what is the negative consequence of that? So if I'm not giving RUTF to my malnourished child regularly, then the child will get more weak, and there is a risk to my child's life as well. Those are the negative consequences that if I believe in those and if I'm aware of those, then I'm more likely to change my behavior of ensuring that my child takes the RUTF regularly as well. Is that clearer?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Wonderful. Let's move on. I don't know how we're doing in terms of time, but let's move on. Now there's a little activity for us. There is a Google Doc, and I will request Angeline to put the link in the chat where we will need to match the activities with the determinants. So the matching exercise document, there's a list of activities and there's a list of determinants. And we need to match which activity will address or achieve or highlight which particular determinant. And the reason we are doing this exercise is because we've now tried to understand, okay, well, these are the factors that influence behavior change, but how do we address these factors? How do we make sure that, if we find out from formative research that positive consequences is what influences the behavior more than anything and any other determinant, what is it that we can do in our activities to influence positive consequences? So this is a list of activities on the left side, and it is a list of determinants on the right side, which are not matched right now. And the exercise that we need to do is we need to try and match these determinants to the activities. Now the document, I think, is a read-only, view-only document. So you will need to look at the document and make your own note of the matches. So if you think one matches with J, then make a note of it for yourself, 1J, and don't share it as yet with anyone. We will share it in the plenary together later. Choose any 4 activities. Each individual can choose any 4 activities. You can start from the top, or you can do any you choose any random 4 activities and look for the matches on the right side. So for each activity that you choose, which is the determinant that matches with it. We have 5 minutes for this exercise, and I will share the screen for the document as well that we are supposed to look at, so that we know that we are looking at the right document. And thank you all for.
Ms. Sona, I think there is an option of request for access of edit. If we click on that, can we make an addition there?
Do you want to edit it? Because all I'm asking to do is, because if you edit it together, it will get a little confusing. If everyone starts editing it. So just make a note, choose any 4 actions from the left side, try and find a match to it on the right side, and make a note of it. So if 1 matches with J, then you say 1J. If 2 matches with E, then you say 2E, and make a note of it for yourself. And then we will discuss it together.
All right.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm having my other colleagues as well, when they heard your lectures, they also tried to come and sit with us, and they are enjoying and as well as learning.
Wonderful, wonderful. Happy to hear that. Thank you.
But then they are also claiming for a certificate if you are giving us. So please count them as well.
You'll have to send me their details.
For sure, I will.
Yeah, thank you. Or just write their details in the chat as well, as to who all have joined. I'm going to stop sharing. And how are we doing? Have you
Can we
managed to
select
do
2
4?
determinants for the same question or for the same query?
There aren't really, but you can, yeah, there can be more than 1 determinant for an action.
Okay.
Yeah. In this case, I've not put more than 1, but it could be correct as well. More than 1 determinant can be right. Okay, in the interest of time, let's start. The first activity, demonstrate what happens when you don't wash your hands before feeding
Can
a
you
child.
just give us 2 more minutes, please?
Sure, sure. Okay, no worries. So as you finish, if you've done 4, then please write down, type just the answers in your chat, in the chat. So 1 matches with let's say, if you think 1 matches with B, then you say 1B. Yeah, okay. So do that for all 4 that you've identified.
I'm done.
Okay. Okay, so let's start seeing the responses. So 1 is D. Does everyone agree with that? I have someone who says 1 is C. So demonstrate what happens when you don't wash your hands before feeding a child. That's perceived negative consequences, right? They're saying if you don't wash your hands with before feeding a child, you're demonstrating what will happen then. So that's a perceived negative consequence. Show mothers pictures of their babies before and after the program. Has anyone done this? Two is C, perceived positive consequences, and that's correct. So showing mothers pictures. Yeah. Yes, go ahead. I don't hear you right now. Can you repeat, please?
2 is H, perceived severity.
For 2?
Yeah, for 2.
Or for 1?
No, for 2.
Okay. 2 is showing mothers pictures of their babies before and after the program. So before the program, if the child was malnourished, you're showing after the program, you're showing the picture of a well-nourished, healthy child. So that's positive consequences, right?
Yes.
And you thought it was H?
Yes.
Perceived severity? Perceived severity would be if you are telling them, giving them data about how many children are affected in the area with a particular problem, right? So that's the severity of the area of the issue of the problem. In this case, because you're showing the positive effect or that the program has had on the baby, that's addressing positive consequences.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I thought that they are telling us that show the mother picture. So
okay, no. We're showing mothers pictures of babies, different mothers pictures of babies before and after the program. So we're saying that this is how the positive consequences are, right? Then advocate for controls and regulations on infant formula that limit the unregulated distribution of these products. What have we said for this, the third? Someone has said J. And someone has said E. So J here is policy, which I think is correct.
I think
E is access. Yes. Can't hear you, Nishad.
If the third one, I think, refers to the cues for
go ahead now. The third one is cues for action. Cues for action, did you say? So advocate for controls and regulations on infant formula that limit the unregulated distribution of these products. We're talking about a policy change, policy regulations and controls. So that's the determinant that we're trying to address here is policy change, is policy, right? Which is J. Cues for action here in this case would be if if you have a poster that talks about the negative consequences of infant formula if it is not fed correctly, or the negative consequences of not breastfeeding your child, those would be cues for action. So posters or something that is put up that reminds you of what the message should be, those are the cues for action. In this case, the advocacy for control and regulations would be related to policy. The soap, tying a soap from a string next to the tippy tap. I think someone has written cues for action here. So this one is definitely cues for action. surveying children regarding the percentage who suffer from diarrhea and are acutely malnourished. That would be H, perceived severity.
Yes, my one was okay then.
Okay. Then conduct community monitoring to show the high percentage of children who are malnourished.
I said G and F both.
Yes. So G and no, it would not. Okay. It could be a cue for reminder if you are showing it in a, reminding them about it regularly. So if you're putting it, they're putting it up in a poster or something, then that could be a cue for reminder, cue for action. But otherwise, if it's just a survey and you're informing people about the survey through a meeting or something, then it's the perceived severity. Then conducting community monitoring to show the high percentage of children who are malnourished is perceived susceptibility or risk, because the number of children that are malnourished in the area is high, and there is more of a chance that your child can also be malnourished. Oh, I think it's the other way around. I think the 5 is, sorry, I forget as well. 5 is probably perceived susceptibility or risk, because every child in the area, a number of children in the area have been getting diarrhea. So there is a higher possibility that your child can get diarrhea as well. So that is the perceived risk. And the high percentage of children who are malnourished is the perceived severity. Okay. All right, now I'm not going through all of them. Let me share with you, Angeline, if you could share the answer sheet to this, the link to the answer sheet.
Can you check the number 8 and 9 also?
Number 8 and 9, sure. Number 8 is regular measurement of MUAC for malnourished children and share progress.
I preferred C for this. I don't know if it's right.
Okay, regular measurement of MUAC for malnourished children and share progress. That is positive consequences. That's right.
Bravo to me and my team then.
Okay, 9 is demonstrate the amount of breast milk required by a newborn baby through an activity such as belly balls. And I'll show you this activity. I find it very interesting. So demonstrating the amount of breast milk required by a newborn baby through an activity such as belly balls. What would that be?
K.
K?
Yes.
Culture. Okay. Could be. But I think this would try and address self-efficacy, because we are talking about, and I think the reason I say self-efficacy is because I know what the activity is, and it relates to trying to talk to a mother, convince her about the fact that her breast milk is enough for the child. And I'll show you about that. I'll just briefly mention the activity shortly. Yeah. Angeline, were you able to share the link to the answers?
Yeah. So I
Okay.
posted it there. The
Right. Thank you
the
so
answer
much.
sheets. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Let's get back to the presentation, and you can check the answers. And if you have any questions, please come back to me at any point. Let me go back to the presentation. So the picture you see on the left, that is the activity that I was talking about, the activity of the belly balls. And the reason it's called the belly balls is because these small balls that are shown here are the sizes of the baby's stomach, of the baby's belly. So the first one is the size of the baby's belly when the child is 1 day old. When the child is 3 days old, that's the size of the baby's belly. And when mothers fear that they will not be able to produce enough milk to fill the stomach of the child, this is an activity that shows them, this is the size of your baby's stomach. And you will definitely be able to, and your body is tuned to produce enough milk for the baby's needs as per the size of the baby's belly or the baby's stomach. So that's a very interesting activity, and I can share a little more detail about it later if anyone is interested. But that's one way to increase the self-efficacy of the mother on the fact that she will be able to produce enough milk for the child's needs. Okay. Any questions here? Not, let me go ahead. Now, some of the challenges that were mentioned by a lot of you who had filled in the forms for these workshops talked about social norms and the cultural beliefs and the strong traditional beliefs that are challenges in changing behaviors. So I thought I'll just quickly talk about some evidence-based activities and approaches that help in shifting social norms. And that's something that we've not really talked a lot about. A lot of our projects get restricted to looking at awareness generation activities and how do we change behaviors, whereas social norms can impact behaviors as well. And we need to be able to understand how is it that we can influence social norms as well. So these are 3 evidence-based activities and approaches that have shown results in changing social norms. The first one is initiating a dialogue with key reference groups. And by reference groups, I mean the people who are in the community who are influential in positions. So these could be religious leaders, these could be community leaders, these could be political leaders. Those are the reference groups who influence people's thinking about what the social norms are. So we need to be able to identify these reference groups and get them on board with the need to change the norm and promote the new norm through these reference groups. So we work with the, let's say with the religious leaders as an example. We convince the religious leaders about the need to change the norm that exists, and then through them we promote the norm to change in at the community level. And this has been an approach that has shown results. Community dialogue is another way of another evidence-based approach, where you have an open discussion on the pros and cons of a particular norm in the community. So you could have an open discussion about, let's say, gender norms in the community, about why is it that a man cannot take care of a child or feed the child, or why is it that a woman cannot go out and work in the field, and earn money for the house, and why is it that the couple cannot, or the people in the household cannot share responsibilities or share decision making. So having an open discussion of the pros and cons, what are the benefits of doing it and what are the disadvantages of doing a particular activity or a particular norm. And in that open discussion, we also include positive deviants. And positive deviants here are people who are already practicing the positive behavior. So the recommended behavior. Those are the positive deviants, or those who do not believe in the norm or are already challenging the norm. Those are the positive deviants that we can identify in the community and include them in the discussion, so that we have a good discussion about the pros and cons of different norms. Organized diffusion is a third way of activity and an approach to influencing social norms, where we identify a select group, a small group of people. We share the knowledge with them first, and then request them to share and through them share the knowledge with one member of the community or one member of the family first, and then slowly start diffusing the idea to more people in the community and more people in the family in a systematic manner. And that gets followed up by the field workers during the monitoring. So these are three different approaches that to influencing social norms that have been tried and tested, and are things that we can consider. And these are available. I mean, we can find out more information on these online as well. But if interested, I could share some resources too. I haven't, I don't have the links right now, but I can definitely share the resources. Okay, how are we doing on time?
So we've got about 20 minutes left, Sona.
We've got about 20 minutes left. So I'm going to skip this exercise of let's draw. This exercise is mainly to drive home the idea of two-way communication. And one of you mentioned two-way communication as a ground rule as well. So I think one of the things that we've seen, and I've seen a lot in the field, is that whenever we do awareness generation sessions, it is usually one way. It is the field worker talking to a group of people, women, and telling them what is it that they should be doing, pouring all the knowledge that they have learned from the trainings into the discussion, into the information that they're giving to the communities, and it's usually one way, and that needs to be made two-way, and that's something that we need to be focused on, and we need to ensure that we are that there is a two-way communication, and it's not just one-way awareness generation sessions that are happening. We have closed and open-ended questions, and closed-ended questions are those questions that can be answered by a yes or a no, or are limited to a short list of answers. The closed-ended questions usually start with "are you," or "did you," or "do you." So if the response to a question is yes or no, that's a closed-ended question. And if the response to a question is more broader and can be, a longer answer is possible, then that's an open-ended question. And usually in communication and for SBC, any kind of dialogue or any kind of discussion that happens, we encourage, open-ended questions. And I think when we talked about the different determinants, we talked about understanding what is it that is challenging and why is it that people are not changing the behavior in spite of having the knowledge and the attitude, the positive attitude towards it. We can find out more only if we ask open-ended questions. And that's something that we can probably quickly practice now in the next 10 minutes. We will put you into... Is everyone familiar with closed-ended and open-ended questions?
Yes.
Okay.
We have experience.
Yes.
Okay, great. There are some examples here, but I'm going to go through those. Let's look at 3 sets of scenarios in a Google Doc link. I will request Angeline to share the Google Doc link. And we will split you into groups of 3 in breakout rooms. And in the group of 3, one of you will play the role of a community person. So we're going to do a short role play where one of you is a community person, one is a nutrition worker, and the third person is an observer. And I think we were expecting more people to join, but since I think the number of rooms will be less, so we will tell you which scenario to look at based on your room. And so 3 people in a room, 1 person acts as a community person described in the scenario, the second person is a nutrition worker, and the third person is an observer. The nutrition worker has to ask questions to try and understand the situation and identify the key determinants influencing the community person. The observer will make a note of the information gained and then share it back with us once we come back together after the breakout room. Welcome back.
Thank you. Can I ask a question here?
Sure.
Since I was playing the observer role, I recorded their question and their answers, I don't know where should I write that. Is there any specific space, or I should just discuss it here?
If you can type it in the chat, that'll be great. If not, just, I mean, if that's too much, then just share it here.
It's not too much, just it's
Okay.
a simple scenario. Since it was, should I go ahead?
Sure, go ahead. Yes. Which scenario was, please read out the scenario as well and tell us what additional
Okay.
information was gained. Yeah.
Okay, we were dealing with the scenario B, and the title for that was caregivers participate and conduct mock screening regularly to monitor their child's nutritional status. So, but the nutrition officer was concerning about why the caregiver is not consecutively mocking the child, and why he has stopped to mock his child after 2 months. And meanwhile, this gentleman was the caregiver, and he was the father of the child. So Tasmia asked her, or the nutrition officer asked her, both kind of the questions, open-ended questions, and also the other section question as well. Some questions started with do, did, like this, and some started with how, and they have had elaborative answers as well. For example, the age of the child was asked. It was a 2 years child, baby boy. Second question was, did your child receive any nutrition remedies or supplement? He said yes, he received. And then she asked her a question that why have you stopped mocking your child? So the basic problem or challenge was that he had busy schedule. He couldn't reach his child. Sometimes the mock tap was disappeared from their home, or maybe the room from their room. And sometimes, since he is not a good father, he forgot to mock his child. and some family challenges were also there, because his family didn't know the importance of the mock. So this was also a barrier for him to keep mocking his child. I think it's over from our end.
Okay, wonderful. Great. So you got a lot of information, additional information, right? And which were the questions that got you more information? Was it the close-ended ones, or was it the open-ended ones?
Exactly, the open-ended one, because it was elaborative and I could note a lot of things from out of that.
Okay. Okay. Great. So here in this situation, what did you understand as the main challenge that the father was facing?
Well, the father was not having enough orientation on the mock, and neither his family understood the importance of the mock tap. So I think that was a big challenge, and the behavior a father had towards his children, according to his answer, that sometimes I forgot to mock, and sometimes I had a busy schedule and I couldn't reach my children. So in order to grow a good child to the community, you need to give extra time to your children. So he needs to change his behavior in this part, I think.
Okay. Okay. Great. So I think that the purpose of this was also to try and find out what is it that is preventing the behavior from happening, and what is it that is preventing the caregiver from sustaining the behavior. And here in this case, we found that they probably don't realize, or the perceived positive consequences are not clear enough to them, or maybe the perceived risk is not clear enough to them. So we need to try and identify which are the determinants that we think that are impacting or influencing the behavior of the father, and then try and address that through our intervention, through activities, or through giving them further information, or having a dialogue with them about what is it that they can do to make sure that they continue, checking the MUAC of their child, or continue the behavior as recommended. So that I think that's the purpose of bringing this scenario, was to try and see how open-ended questions help you identify more information, and that information can help you identify what are the key determinants that are influencing the behavior, and then try and address those key determinants, rather than just keeping on giving information to the parent or the caregiver about why that it is important and that you should be doing it. We should try and understand from the caregiver's perspective, what is it that is stopping them from doing it, and then try and address that together with the, work out the solutions together with the caregivers. That was the idea. Can we go to the next group? Any other group?
Yes, I will present my group.
Yes, sure.
Yeah, as we are presenting scenario C, we were 3 in our group. Me as a caregiver, my friend Ishi was nutrition worker, and other Honest was observer. Our scenario was about the caregiver, the children. 8-month-old baby girl has been consulted on what and how much to feed her daughter. However, the baby is not gaining weight at all. During the community level nutrition screening, the nutrition worker try to find out what are the reasons for this. For this scenario, we ask open-ended and close-ended question. In our close-ended question, consisting how many times you are giving the breastfeeding. If you are still giving the breastfeeding, so just are you still giving breastfeeding or not? And other question was if you are giving, how many times? This was in our close-ended question, but in our open-ended question was please how you are feeding your child. So that was our scenario, and we tried and we brought our information here, and we do that.
Okay, so what is the new information that you learned?
Yeah,
we learned through the open-ended questions.
In open-ended
question. Go ahead, Ishi.
Yeah, in open-ended yeah, just Ishi, you can explain that.
Okay, I just wanted to come in that we had also some technical glitches with our connectivity, so we could not go as far as managing to get all the information from the caregiver, but we ended up just brainstorming on what some of the open-ended questions that we can ask, and also what some of the closed questions that we can also pose to the caregiver. But we couldn't go to that stage where we could then get more information on what was happening to the caregiver, because we had a challenge with network. But I think, like what my colleague has just said, we had some closed questions that we were allowing us to get some specific information, like how old is your child, like what you are saying, and also in addition to what you are saying. I think that's far we went with our scenario.
Okay, sure. Yeah, and you had less time as well, so that's fine. As long as you identified what were the different kind of open-ended questions that you could ask to get more information about this. And now, usually this kind of information is sought during surveys, right? After getting information from a survey, we don't go. Usually our frontline workers don't ask these questions so much to find out deeper, to get a deeper understanding of whether or not and why are they not performing a particular or adopting a particular behavior. And that's something that we think needs to change, because if our frontline staff who's interacting regularly with the community, with the caregivers, if they start understanding that it is not only information that we need to provide, but we need to try and understand what their barriers are, to understand what their challenges are, and then together with them arrive at a solution on how they would try to adopt a particular behavior, that might help more in changing behaviors rather than only giving them information and knowledge. Scenario A? Yes, Janada.
Yes, so we treated scenario A in my group, and I just want to just give a brief on what we discussed.
Sure.
So the scenario was a mother of a 4-month-old baby and is worried about her daughter being thin and not active, and is contemplating starting formula milk, as many women in the community use that. So that was what was displayed there. And the nutrition worker was there to find out whether she's exclusively breastfeeding her baby and tries to get information on current practice and possible barriers to identify key determinants of behavioral change. So after the questions, we found out that there's a perceived risk by the mother. She saw that the baby was getting thin, and then she went ahead to see the severity of the case, and then she acted on the efficacy on talking to the nutrition aid worker to help her in that way. And she was, the questions that were asked were if she believes that water is part of a therapeutic thing that could help the baby. And the answer was given. And then they also asked about the social practice, since other people in social norms, since other people in the community also use formula. And I guess that was where we stopped really
Okay.
in the
Okay.
session.
Okay. Okay. Great. Thank you for sharing that. And I think, yeah, you did get some more information, and most of the information that you would have noticed would be through open-ended questions and not closed-ended questions. The closed-ended questions usually don't give you enough information for you to be able to then think about, identify what the barriers are to behavior change. Okay.
But,
Okay, over to you, Angelina.
Yeah, no, well, there's certainly Zoom has been very helpful in facilitating this session today with all the interactive elements. So thank you so much, Sona, for that really informative and engaging session. I certainly feel like I've learnt a lot on my side. And thank you to everyone for your active engagement and participation. We said that that was one of the ground rules for today's session, and I think everybody was really very much engaged and willing to share their experiences and willing to contribute. So that's really also very heartening for us to see, and it's just been a really nice, pleasant environment to exchange on. So I just wanted to take one last minute today to highlight the different types of support services available at the GNC. I think this is on the last slides of our presentation, which we will also share with you after this session. So we're going to share the presentation. We're going to share the different materials that we've been discussing, the different Google Docs that we've been working on. So all of that will be shared after today's session. But just to highlight the different types of support services available at the GNC, so we can provide in-depth technical support. This is both remotely and in country. So normally in-depth technical support is for a number of weeks, and that's on specific different thematic areas for nutrition and emergencies. We can also help you identify technically vetted consultants if that's what you're interested in doing for your particular program. If you're looking to do a direct hire for a particular project, we have a roster of consultants that you can use, and we have a roster manager that can help you with that. And we can also provide quick remote support on technical questions that may come up in your programming if you're looking for particular resources, if there's a specific question that you have on a very specific programming approach. We also have help desks that can help with quick remote support. And there's also peer-to-peer support, which is available via NNet on ENN. So I'm sure a lot of you are aware of that as well. So maybe just on the next slide, you can see where you can request support on our website. So this is the GNC website, and then you can see at the top right-hand corner, there's a button, the green button, request support. And the request form is available in multiple languages. It doesn't take very long to complete, maybe about 5 minutes. And that gives us a steer on what type of support you're looking for. And just to highlight that support is available to any nutrition practitioner who is working towards achieving nutrition outcomes in emergencies. And that's international organizations, local organizations, national organizations, any nutrition actor who's working in the nutrition in emergency sphere. So please feel free to engage with the website, with the request support button, fill in the form if there are specific aspects of support that you need, different elements of technical assistance that you're looking for. Please reach out to us on our request form and we will get back to you and set up a discussion, set up a meeting to discuss with you. And I don't want to take up too much more of your time, so just the last slide is just a quick request that you fill out the questionnaire at the end of this session. We have a very quick questionnaire that only takes about 5 minutes, which is going to pop up when you leave the meeting. And this is really going to help us ensure that these workshops are tailored to your needs and will help us improve them. So yes, please do take the time to complete those. That we'd be very grateful if you could. And yes, a big thank you to you all for your participation. Again, a big thank you to Sona for the really interesting discussion and facilitation. And we really look forward to seeing you on our next session, which is, Sona, it's next Thursday, is it?
It's next Thursday at the same time.
At the same time. Exactly. So we look forward to seeing you then. For the next session title is, can you remind me, Sona?
That's the nuts and bolts
of
SBC.
That's it. Nuts and bolts. Nuts and bolts of SBC next Thursday, same time. So we look forward to seeing you all then. So thank you very much and have